Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. Don't call your history as mythology. This is what the European historians want you to call. And so when the Indian Americans or South Americans, they say mythology, prehistoric, there is no such prehistoric. The real history is prehistoric. After that is all colonialism, destruction. And you can see in South America, they don't even speak their language. Most even people don't even know what was the original language because they are not from those lands. It's like a colony. Beautiful land, and it's a colony. If you're speaking Spanish, you need to know that you are speaking the language of conquistadors or the people who conquered you. And I'm speaking in English. What does it mean? So, but the show is for the local USA Americans, so therefore we are speaking in English, but I'm equally good in Hindi or Marathi. So let us welcome. I have a very special guest today. You can check out her profile, Sadhavi Khosla, Sadhavi. On Twitter, you can check it out as you can see her profile on Twitter. And then you can see it's Sadhavi. I'm going to send that link to you so you can see her profile. So let us welcome Sadhavi Khosla. Namaskar.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Your voice is a little low.
Okay. I hope it's clear now.
Better.
Okay. Yeah.
So you told me before the show that you have been through corporate world, you've done business, and you were in the US before, but now
Yeah.
you're dedicated to yoga. How did the transformation came?
Um, See, I think we human beings, we don't plan anything. It's all driven by the universe. It's all driven by the God, you call universe, you call higher energy, you call super consciousness, you may call anything. But I mean, a man can only plan things, but ultimately it happens whatever God decides to. I think I was meant for this path, and it was only the life's experiences which had to bring me here. So that's all I can say. Yes, I'm otherwise an MBA, been into corporate world, been into business world. I've done political analysis for a couple of years, only to realize that none of that gave me the kind of peace, satisfaction, what I was looking for in life. And it was only through yoga that I am able to understand the real purpose of my life. And as human beings, I think the true purpose of each one of us, uh, our bigger purpose is to understand our own self. Unless we understand our own self, we cannot understand the world. And it is only through yoga, that we are able to discover our real self. So yoga helped me in discovering my real self.
Yeah. Most of the people have a similar story coming to yoga
Yeah,
in USA
yeah,
and all the Western world. When they're
yeah.
bored with everything American, everything European, everything, then they come to yoga. Is it
I
the right
mean,
way to look at it?
I think it has got nothing to do with the American, Indian, European. I'm an Indian, born in India. But as I said, that, we reach at a stage in life where we realize that everything around us is false. It's all illusions. And when you see everything is illusion, that is when you want to search for the truth. And it's only through yoga that you can reach the truth, and only with the grace of God.
You know, so like when you say everything is illusion, but I can see the things around me, I can see it with my eyes, I can touch it, I can feel it, then how we are calling it illusion?
uh, Now that's That's what we are here to talk about, enlightenment. What is enlightenment? This is a buzzword. These days everyone talks about enlightenment. Everyone thinks that, okay, by doing yoga we can reach a state of Buddha, we can reach a state of enlightenment. But what is enlightenment actually? What is enlightenment? um, if you say, I can explain what I have felt, that what is enlightenment. uh, I Every human being is born enlightened. Each one of us. It is only through the world, through these worldly attachments, what I call illusions, is that we start losing that light. And once we start losing that light, that means we enter a stage of darkness. And enlightenment is your journey which takes you back to the light, to your source, from where you are born. So the absence of darkness is enlightenment. And yes, if you want to ask.
No, you can continue what you're saying. Yes, continue.
Yeah. So I was saying that absence of light, is what takes us to darkness. Now, when you remove the darkness, you automatically get into a stage of enlightenment. Now, how do you remove that? It's not that there is some bulb over there in the sky that you switch off the button and then the bulb is on and then you are enlightened. No, it's through knowledge, it's through wisdom. That is what gives you enlightenment. So the more you gain wisdom in life, the more enlightened you become. So it's all about gaining wisdom, and wisdom comes through experiences. How Buddha was born as Siddharth. His journey from Siddharth to Buddha, the Buddha is that the state of mind. It was only through his experiences as a young prince, his experiences of seeing the suffering, his experiences inside the kingdom, all that led to, his state of reaching enlightenment. So each one of us have that ability to reach that state, where we can remove all the lies, all that darkness which we surround ourselves. We are born as an enlightened being, but it's only through our life's experiences that we start losing that. And once we realize that we are living a very false life and we want to go back to our real self, the way we were born, that's the state of enlightenment. And that is what each one of us is in search for, whether it's an American or a European or somebody anywhere on the earth. We are all, at the end of the day, we are all in search of that eternal peace, eternal happiness. And once we realize that happiness doesn't come with these worldly things, that's when we start looking for, knowledge, wisdom, peace, and that state of peace is called enlightenment.
So when when people call enlightenment, you correctly said, is a buzzword. And
it's a buzzword. People think that, okay, let me do one yoga course, or these days there are many buzzwords. These days on internet, okay, join this course, become enlightened. Oh, sorry. I mean, spirituality. Again, it is becoming an industry. But tell me one thing. It's an industry now. It's a full-fledged industry. Now tell me one thing. Spirituality is a science of studying self. Science where you can reach your soul. Now how it's about taking a path away from materialism. Okay, now the same thing you are making into a materialistic industry. Pay so much amount to learn spirituality. What is there to learn? You have to go deep within yourself. You have to go inside yourself. So, yes.
It's a church methodology because the church collects money for selling God. So that's what they sell God by using yoga courses. That's the same mindset is there, because
Yeah,
as
but
long as you pay, the same mindset is there.
the same mindset has come to India as well. So it's spirituality has become a full-fledged industry.
It's like it is said that by 2038, it will be a $1 trillion economy
Yeah,
in today's
yeah.
dollar
I,
terms.
yeah, I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
There
US,
are
they,
less there are less seekers now. There are more spiritual teachers. There are less students, more teachers. Yeah.
yeah, and the way it is like, because see, the thing is, as the general faith in the local governments go away, and the faith in
Yeah.
the church goes away, faith in the mosques go away. And so all these people are turning to yoga. And there
Yeah.
is a big attempt to make yoga different or away from Hinduism, because the church and the mosque, they regularly preach against Hindus or idolatry. But the so and in my translation of Patanjali, I'm very now I know he talks about in different pada. One of them is Ishwar Pranidhan, and which is
Yeah.
part of the people's. What the people do is they take sections of Patanjali Sutra and make it their own yoga practice. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but Americans have taken it to very far now. So there is a goat yoga, there is a sheep yoga, there is a
There's beer yoga, there's nude yoga, there's every kind of. See, that's what I said. That see, first of all, uh, largely we take yoga. You know, most of the people consider yoga as that physical asanas. Consider it as one of the health regimes. And thanks to this social media, nowadays there's this huge craze for yoga. Okay. While I do give credit to America, because we Indians, we have that mindset of never valuing something which our ancestors have built. But only when we see the foreigners, when we see the Europeans or Americans doing something, then we think, oh my God, oh, this is something which we also need to do. And that's what is happening in India. So now yoga, what is yoga? Yoga is not asanas. Asanas is just one of the instruments. So if you know all the 8 steps, asanas is just one of the steps of yoga. First of all, yoga is your karma yoga. What you and me are doing right now, it's karma. It's karma yoga. It's an action where our purpose is to probably spread this knowledge, probably help others to be aware of this. So, so that's karma yoga. That's also yoga. When you worship God, that's bhakti yoga. When you read scriptures to gain wisdom, that's jnana yoga. And the physical yoga, which America or Europe, everyone is fascinated about, is the physical yoga, which comes under the Raj yoga, which is just one of the steps. And the ultimate aim of the yoga, whether it is karma yoga, whether it is bhakti yoga, dhyan yoga, or Raj yoga, the ultimate aim, which Patanjali has clearly mentioned in Yoga Sutra, is to reach to the supreme consciousness, which is God. The union of body, mind, and soul. So ultimately, to unite with the divine soul. That's the main purpose. And asana is just an instrument. But now everyone has taken that asana as the main thing. Yoga means asanas. Yoga means that fancy postures. And that is where probably, we need to correct. That is where more awareness is required so that people can understand the real meaning of yoga.
in the last pada, Kaivalya pada, last shloka is Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Prati Prasava Kaivalyam Sarup Pratishtha Va Chitta Shakti Chitta Shakti
Your
Riti.
voice is breaking. Your voice, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And so
yeah,
it says, Patanjali says that when the Purushartha of yogi disappears, into themselves, pratiprasava,
Yes.
because of the
Yes.
absence of impact of guna, then
Yeah.
Kaivalya state is reached. Then the
Yeah. The
soul or a
Kaivalya is
jiva,
the highest state. Yeah. Which a
then the
yogi.
soul or a jiva gets situated in the original form, Sarupa.
Yeah.
Chitta
Atma
Shakti.
se Paramatma ki journey.
Yeah, see, the thing is, no, he doesn't say Atma se Paramatma. Because
No,
see,
no, this is what I said. This is what
yeah,
I added. Yeah.
because Patanjali is very clear that Atma never becomes Paramatma. Patanjali is very clear.
No, no, no. No, no, no. Atma se Paramatma tak ki journey. This
Yeah,
is what I
connection.
said. I'm not saying Atma becomes Paramatma.
Right.
I'm saying the Atma is your journey towards Paramatma.
That's right. That's the meaning
Yeah.
of yoga, connecting you to
Yeah.
Paramatma.
Yes, 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 yes.
Huh? So now many things are not taught. Like even in India, also not taught, and other places not taught, where
Yeah.
where they don't say that the yoga actually takes you away from the effect of guna, and the science of guna is never taught. And Bhagavad Gita focuses all on the science of guna.
Yes.
Bhagavad Gita says many say he's Bhagavad Krishna Bhagavan says Traya guna nistra veda nistra bhavarjuna. Like you need to rise above the guna and then you get situated
Yes.
in the self. So here
Yes.
the enlightenment is said to be Swarupa. This is a recording. Are you doing recording anything? Echoing. His voice is echoing over there.
No, no, no. I'm not doing anything.
So the so Swarup Avasthena. So this aspect is never taught in the any yoga school, whether it's India or here. So that also shows that there is a original Swarup of each one of us. The physical bodies are not the original one. Physical
Yes.
body, which you can see in the mirror, is just a reflection of your eyes, from your
Yes.
eyes, but it's not the real form of you. Now, this is scares the hell out of people. This scares the hell out of, if you tell Americans, oh, you are not what you see in the mirror, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I watching? Where is the
Because they're
cosmetic industry gone?
yes, yes.
Where is the cosmetic industry gone? My hairstyle, my looks, my clothes, where is it all gone? It scares the hell out of people.
Our
So,
scriptures talk about three types of bodies. What we have, the physical body is what we see. Then there is astral body. Then there is causal body. So this is what the yoga teaches. This is what the Bhagavad Gita teaches. I'm see Bhagavad Gita over the years has become the face, you can say, of yoga, has become the face of Hinduism, of Bharat civilization, the most popular uh, text of Hinduism. But I'm not sure how many are aware of this great scripture. If you can see on the screen, you know, this is the supreme yoga by and it's known as Yoga Vashishta. Now, this is the knowledge of yoga which was imparted to Lord Ram by his Guru Vashishta. And this is older than Bhagavad Gita. And this is very, very, very deep. I mean, I can say that Patanjali Yoga Sutra and Bhagavad Gita, if you club together, and even more, then comes the Yoga Vashishta. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, it is the God which is imparting the knowledge to his disciple Arjuna. Here, it is the Guru Vashisht who's departing the knowledge to the God himself, which is Lord Ram, an incarnation of God. So yes, this is why I say that Bharat is a land of enlightenment. Enlightenment means wisdom, the knowledge. Which other country, which other civilization, which other religion, you know, Bharat, Hinduism, Indian civilization all means one thing. Which other country has produced so much of wisdom? So much of wisdom. Which other religion has produced so much of literature? 90% of our literature was burned. It's only 10% what we have because 90% was burned. So every other religion has one book. It's only Hinduism, it's only India the bank of wisdom. We are not just Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Vasishtha, we have Vedas, the supreme Vedas. To translate those supreme Vedas, Britishers had to hire a German Orientalist, Max Muller, to distort the Vedas so that Hindus should not be able to interpret the Vedas as it is. Max Muller was hired by Britishers so that Vedas could be distorted. Oh, we are the land of Vedas. We are the land of 108 Upanishads. So which other land in this entire world has produced so much of wisdom? This is where India, it's a unique country in many ways. We may be economically developing, poor, still having multiple issues, dealing with poverty, because of our brutal invasions and thousands years of brutal, invasions, but still a highly spiritual, a rich country. There is no other land, the world, which can be as spiritually rich what India is.
Lord Macaulay and Max Miller must be turning in graves, because Macaulay is the one who said even one line of Shakespeare is higher than
Yeah.
anything Hindu has ever produced. That's what he said. And unfortunately, most of the American universities also teach the Hindu courses in Harvard, Hindu courses in Yale, Hindu courses in Berkeley, Hindu courses in Stanford University. All of them teach the same shit which is being taught by Macaulay in the world. Now, so when they say about enlightenment, for them is enlightenment for most of the Western people is going to the church and confessing to a father whom they never see. And it's behind the closed doors, and that's called enlightenment for them. That somebody is hearing their problems and let them cry. And every Sunday they have to come to the church to absolve themselves of all the sins they do. But Monday they go back to the what they were doing in the last week itself. So there is no real correction. So how the yoga helps in permanently removing the problems or the sin. I don't believe in the sin
Because
category.
because yoga helps you to transcend the mind, and all our problems are in the mind. It's not in the heart. Heart is as pure as God is, because heart is where the God resides. Heart is where the supreme soul resides. All the problems are in the mind, and it is only through yoga, which is scientifically, it's a science. It's a science of body mind, a connection of body and mind. It helps you to transcend the mind. And once you transcend the mind, that is when you realize you can differentiate between the truth and the false. And once you transcend the mind, I mean, all these things, the religion, the church, temple, everything, uh, because then you have a direct connect with your source. Once you have the direct connect with the source, nothing else matters. So yoga is your journey to the self, to your own source. Now, why people like Steve Jobs had to come all the way to India in search of his purpose of life? I won't say enlightenment, but why? Why so many Americans or Europeans, not just Americans, they come in thousands and thousands of numbers every year to Rishikesh. I mean, I was in Rishikesh 2 years ago for doing a course in yoga. 95% of the students there were from Europe and US. So why do they come to Rishikesh? America is such a rich country, a country of many, the land of many scientific discoveries. Then why, in search of peace, they have to come to India? If America is so rich, if Europe is so rich materially, then why they are not happy? Why they come to India in search for happiness and peace? to learn yoga, why do they have to come here? So the thing is that it's not about the land. It's about the India. India is a land which has produced thousands and thousands of enlightened masters, sages. There has never been any period in the history of India, and I'm talking about history which probably the Western world won't understand, because for Western world the history means 2000 years. For Western world the history is just 2000 years. But I am talking about history which goes back to 10,000 years. So India is sitting on that ancient wisdom. There has never been a period where India has not produced a great sage.
No, you're right. You're also one of the sages now, teaching
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
The another one comes out to be the West keeps inventing new logies. Like, for example, that's why we have Sattology now. But
Yeah.
logies like paleontology, I call them dinosaur grave diggers. Because they're just grave diggers collecting bones and utilizing billions of dollars of taxpayer funding. But what are they going to produce? Nothing. But in the texts of Vedas and Mahabharata and Ramayana history,
Yeah.
very clearly mentioned, Hanumanji says, many people say, but Hanumanji I'll quote because everyone in the West can connect with Hanuman, is that he says in the Satyuga, the sizes of the human bodies and everything was much bigger. Treta
Yes.
Yuga became smaller, Dwapar Yuga became still smaller, and Kali Yuga is the smallest size of a human skeleton, and everything else.
And also the lifespan. Also the
Lifespan.
lifespan kept on decreasing. Yeah.
So the small reptile in the Satyuga will look like a dinosaur today. So we know the thing, but the dinosaur grave diggers all over the world, and Joe Rogan is very famous on accentuating that kind of stupid mindset through his talk shows, very popular talk shows, by the way, and keep on doing that kind of narrative. And if you listen to these people, they're such foul-mouthed and like F-bombs in every single word. And in the same sentence, they will say, enlightenment. I don't know what is dinosaur enlightenment, what is going on. So are they missing out on some points here? What are they missing out here?
See, here I want to bring a different context here, but it relates to what you're saying. The beginning of the show, you said to me that what is illusion? Now, this is exactly illusion. Now, West is in an illusion that they have created this world. Created in the sense, this world order created by the West. So they keep denying the contribution of the East. And East, when I talk about East, I talk about the Bharatvarsh. I'm not talking about India, I'm talking about the Bharatvarsh. But Bharat was 5,000 years ago. Now look at this. West, until and unless they accept the truth, they don't even want to accept their own truth. For example, they don't want to acknowledge this fact that Jesus Christ, whom they consider as their prophet, whom they consider as the father of Christianity, or the son of God, the Jesus Christ spent 14 years, which are called the unknown years of Jesus Christ, mentioned in Bible also. They don't want to acknowledge that 14 years he spent in the East, especially in the region of India, Burma, Nepal, and India in Himalayan region. I mean, it's proven, but Christianity, why Jesus Christ came here? Of course, in search of enlightenment. Of course, in search of... So the point is, until and unless they accept their own truth, they will continue to live in this illusion. They will have to accept this, that yes, there is a part of the world which has a far superior knowledge than what they have. So they will have to give Bharat that due place that yes, Bharat is an ancient civilization. Bharat has what rest of the world doesn't have. And what Bharat has can help rest of the world. And I'm sure these last 3 years of COVID, and I do hope, must have given a valid and a solid reason for the developed Western world to introspect that they call themselves as a developed, materially developed, scientifically developed nations. And they could not manage a pandemic. And Bharat, a land of 135 crore people with very limited resources and struggling and has many of its own problems, but managed the pandemic much, much better than the developed world. So I think there's a lot which the developed world needs to introspect. They have not even scratched the surface of enlightenment.
No, well, the first world and the third world theories have failed actually. So
Yeah.
it's no longer the first world is itself filled with. I mean, you can't walk in the downtown LA now. You can walk in the southwestern Chicago,
Yeah.
and in New York also you have to carry a bulletproof jacket so that you can walk on the streets nowadays. I mean, not true for all the people, and so there is a lot of things changing all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's itself become an embarrassment to call themselves first world and India is a third world. Anyway, so these are
So that's what.
political
Yeah,
nomenclature.
yeah. I
It has
don't want to
nothing to
get
do
into
with.
that, but what I'm saying is that this is part of spirituality. This is part of understanding who we are. So the Western world also needs to understand the gaps. They also need to acknowledge that yes, there is a part of the world which is sitting on a very deep knowledge, wisdom.
So sometimes many Indians oversell themselves. There is no need to do that. There is no need to seek validation. There is no need to tell them because see the thing is, intelligent Americans they themselves know it, and we
Yeah,
don't have to say it. Also, we what India needs to do is just Indian government, Indian education system must ban all the American colleges from teaching Hindu culture. That's it. Just ban. The moment they put a ban, everything is clean after that. And I think that time will come very shortly. And because that's where the all the mythology gets arisen, and let them live in their own ignorance. Let them live. The reality is far different from them, So they let them live. One last question on this show. You said you are a Shiv Bhakta, and your Twitter profile also says that yoga is Shiva and Shiva is yoga. So in Bhagavad Gita, and I love Shivji personally, and he's our Aradhya for all of us. So, but when you say that, but Krishna is referred to as Yogeshwar. So how you reconcile Shiva and
Shiva.
Yogesh?
Shiva is Mahayogi, Adi Yogi, the first guru, uh, the one who imparted the knowledge of yoga to his better half, Shakti, and the one who imparted that knowledge to Saptarishis. And I am talking about the period which goes back to thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And Bhagavad Gita is 5,000 year old, 5,500 precisely, So, and yes, at the end, Krishna, I mean, the divine source is one with different names. Shiva is a formless, nameless, the God who has no name, the God who has no form. And Shiva means auspiciousness. So, who can be more auspicious than God? That is why in Hinduism, he is known as the supreme God. Yes, I don't want to get into that Shaivism, Vaishnavism, because Vaishnavites will say that no, Vishnu is the supreme, all are supreme. Ultimately, supreme power is one and manifests in different forms. So, yes, what Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna as Yogeshwar in the Dwapar Yuga, but Saptarishis are the rishis, the 7 rishis who had spread the knowledge of yoga back to, you know, there's no fixed date for that. Uh, there's no as such date. It goes back to as early as the existence of the civilization on the earth. And Patanjali, for that matter, Patanjali is considered as the founder of yoga.
No, the founder mythology is still it's a Western disease again.
Yeah, yeah,
Because the life is in cycle.
yeah.
And in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that I spoke this millions of years to Vyaswan. Imam Vyvaste Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam. And Vyaswan Manoe Praha Manu Ikshvaku Abravit. So he says it, and it goes out to 120 million years back, approximately. People calculate. Okay, so
See,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, one last thing. The students of yoga, I'm sure they are aware of Kundalini, the Kundalini Shakti, that the divine power which resides in each one of us. Now, the real purpose of yoga, like I said, is the union of soul with the supreme soul. That is what the yoga teaches, where the Shakti inside us travels to meet Shiva. So that's why that's why I say Shiv is yoga, yoga is Shiv. To reach to the state of Shiva, only through yoga you can reach to that state. Now, the yoga, whether you take the route of karma yoga as a selfless karma yogi, or you take the route of worship like Mirabai, Tulsidas, Bhakti yoga, or you take the yoga of Adi Shankaracharya, Gyan yoga, or you take the route of Raj yoga, which masters like Paramhans Yoganand, who actually popularized yoga in America way back in 1930s. So all are these different routes. The ultimate aim is to reach that divine source. You take any route, ultimately you have to reach the divine source. That's the real aim of yoga.
See, the entire concept of eternity scares the hell out of the Western audience, and
Because they don't even believe in soul. They continue to deny the concept of soul.
the whole, and that disease is coming in the West India also. That disease is there in India too. The soul evolves, and the soul is always enlightened. It's a foolish thing is that you are not enlightened because you are under the
That's
Prakriti.
what I said. We are all born enlightened. We are all born enlightened. It is only through our actions, through our karmas, and the layers that we keep on adding because of the worldly attachments and desires, that we come, from that stage of enlightenment.
The fear of reprisal from the church is so ingrained in the psyche that they have to go back to the same dogmas of the church, and everyone has proved, like you just now mentioned, the Jesus traveled. Most of the Western scholars and even I have researched and proved that Jesus named person never existed. So the whole story that Jesus visited India is a fake story, implanted. They are quoting Black Sea scrolls. Black Sea scrolls are known to be a fake material, planted material. It was planted in the 11th century, not even much further back, 11th century. So the whole thing is wrong because the Osiris was also crucified in the Egyptian Nile. That same story was attributed to, and believe me, in the early Christian history, there is no mention of 12 apostles. There is no mention of even the word Jesus. Nobody knew who he was. Romans did not know. Greeks did not know, who were at that time ruling. So a lot of mythology has been created, a lot of mythology. And unfortunately, we cannot challenge it now. We have to just keep quiet, like seal it, throw the keys out. The reason is we can't challenge now because that's the accepted proof by most of the sheep. That's why they call them sheep. And shepherd is the one guy who never exists in history. So the whole thing is a fraud on the human conscience, the whole thing. But now we can't say it openly, we can't say it, and we were silenced. And India also talks all these stories that Jesus 14 years, 13 years. But most of the American universities nowadays research and they're publishing papers that the person named Jesus never existed. And it is coming out more and more in the American light. Only the Indians are still parroting the old lies which are visited. Anyway, coming to back to the point of yoga, and when you mentioned about Shiva, and Shiva is a very popular figure in the Western audience, in the Western world, where people in Mexico putting tattoos of Shiva on their foreheads, arms, and in the back of the neck, and God for knows where else they put it. So the the question comes in, if Shiva is like the whole theory of attaining enlightenment. Buddha attained enlightenment. And Buddha is the incarnation of Vishnu, and it's written in Bhagavad Puran even before Buddha was born. Buddha was born much later. Bhagavad Puran was written 6,000, 7,000 years back. Then it is mentions about Buddha, that he is the first avatar of Vishnu in Kali Yuga. And now most of the Buddhists will disagree with me, but I will go by what my records say, Bhagavad Puran says. So my question to you is, if enlightenment is an established fact for a soul, is an established journey for a soul, then why even Indians talk about you are attaining enlightenment?
As we started the discussion, that it's now a buzzword. Whether you call enlightenment or you call moksha. Now, what is moksha? Liberation. What is liberation? Freedom. Freedom from what? I mean, from what are you getting freedom? The freedom from darkness. The moment you enter into light, as I said, how do you attain that light? You attain that light through wisdom. Now, what kind of wisdom? Wisdom of understanding self. Once you understand your own self, your real self, how you were born, and that's the state of enlightenment. There's nothing. Once you transcend the mind, once you reach that state where you have no more desires, you become enlightened. People talk about moksha. I always say that you don't have to die to get moksha. You don't get moksha after dying. You get moksha. Your purpose should be to get moksha while you're living. And that state is when you're free from your desires, when you're free from your attachments, you attain moksha. And that's what Buddha attained. He had no desires. He had left all his attachments, whether the attachment with his wife, his son, his kingdom, his people. He left all of that. And once he reached there, he reached the state of enlightenment. And same with many other spiritual masters. So enlightenment, you don't have to go to jungles to get enlightenment.
Many words, Rajiv Malhotra talks. I don't quote Rajiv Malhotra anywhere, but talks about, this is written a book on the English, Sanskrit and Hindi. Guru doesn't translate into spiritual master. Most of the world doesn't know. Guru means heavy. That's why it's called Gurutva Akarshan, which is heavy. And people want Guru to be a consultant, which is a stupidity of the mind. Guru is not a consultant. He's not a church padri where he's going to say when you should marry, when you should have sex, when you should have children. He's not supposed to do that. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show. We had a very frank discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling me. Thank you. It was a wonderful
you enjoyed
interaction.
the discussion.
Yes. Thank you.
And for those who are will be watching on the YouTube, do comment, like, share, subscribe. And I did ask many of your questions which came to me. And I added my questions too. And thank you so much for joining the show today. Namaste.